Want to make a ring with me? Not just any kind of ring, an upcycled guitar string ring. Let's go. So let's get started. Just to give you an idea of the size of ring that I'm going to be making, I don't know if you can see here the little 7. So this is a size 7 ring measuring hoop, I guess you could say. And this is the piece of guitar string that I'm going to be using to make this size ring. So I'm going to put this aside so that I can make sure that I get the right measurements as I am making this ring. And you can see that this is a silver colored guitar string. And at the end here, we have what is called a ball end. So ball because, well, I guess it sort of looks like a ball or a little barrel, almost like a bead. In this case, it is gold colored. And because it is at the end of the guitar string, it is called a ball end. And so this piece helps to, I guess, attach the guitar string to the bottom of the guitar, and then the string is stretched up to the top of the neck where the tuning pegs are, and then it's attached there. So this case, the customer wanted a ring with the ball end, and they wanted a silver colored wire to finish the ring. First thing I'm going to do is just take the ring and do a first pass like this, just sort of twisting it and then pulling it tight. And what I'm going to do is, using this measuring tool, I'm going to make sure that as I am forming the ring, that it is actually the right size and the right fit for the customer. Now, I probably would hazard to say that most makers, whether it's somebody, whoops, making sure that I get the right size here, the right one. Okay, the size 7. So I would hazard to say that probably most makers, whether they make jewelry, they make art, sculptures, clothing, any type of maker probably has one of those creations that is their challenge, or they're probably their biggest or their most complicated to make. And in my case, I would have to say that rings are probably the one thing that I find the most challenging. Compared to a bracelet, you have a little bit more flexibility, because if it's, just a teeny, a millimeter or 2 off, it's not going to make that big a difference in the size. However, with a ring, we're talking about a much smaller circumference, and so if it's too large, it's going to slip off the finger, and if it's too small, then obviously it's not going to fit. So whenever I have rings that I am making, I'm always particularly specific in the sizing, because not only as I twist it is it going to make a difference in the size, but also when I'm finishing it up with the wire, that's going to add extra thickness here to the ring, and is also going to affect the sizing. So this is probably one of my my biggest challenge in terms of jewelry that I make, is making these guitar string rings. So what I'm going to do, I've got a general look to the ring right now, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to again, making sure that I've got the right size, always, measure twice. So size 7. What I'm going to do is, using this tool and using other ring measuring implements, I've got another like a stick that I use to measure the different sizes. I'm going to make sure that I've got the right size. And then once I have that completely settled in, I'll bring you on to the next step, which is going to be the wire wrapping to complete the look. Once I'm pretty confident that I have the right size, the right initial size for the ring, I'm going to start wrapping the end here. Now I haven't yet cut off this extended piece because I want to make sure that I've got it really well tucked in to the wire wrapping. And so sometimes I use my pliers, but for the most part I use my fingers to come in here and tightly wrap. So it's just really a question of bringing it nice and tight against the guitar string. And I always like to make sure that every time I do a wrap, I am bringing it as evenly as possible against one against the other. I think it's a demonstration of quality workmanship to not have it all just haphazardly wrapped. So really making sure that every single wrap that I have that I'm making, get a really nice close up here, is nice and symmetrical and close up here. So I'm going to keep wrapping it, and then I'm going to show you how I finish it off. And so I've just snipped off this end here, and then I'm going to continue to wrap the other end here. And so I want to make sure that as I continue to wrap this here, that I am really tucking in that little piece here so that it doesn't catch the wearer as they have this ring on their finger. Nobody wants to have a ring stabbing them as they are wearing it. So really making sure that I've got these wraps well done, well pulled in. Sometimes using a tool. As I said, for the most part I use my fingers, and then yeah, I'll continue on like this. So I finished wrapping the top part of the wire and just tucking it in, really making sure that it's not catching on anything, as as I said, if I was wearing it, if I'm slipping it on my finger, if it's rubbing up against anything as I'm wearing it. And so now I'm just going to finish up this last end here. And so again, just finishing up one last twist, making sure again it's really nice and tucked in tight. And here we go. So what I tend to do here is I try and finishing it off so it's a little bit higher up, so that it's not, again, coming in down here to catch the wearer's skin. So coming in, and in this case I do use pliers. Just then making sure I've got the right size, snipping off a little extra end if I need to, and then coming in and tucking that in into that last piece. So it's not quite, sometimes I need to do it a few times depending on the length. If it's still catching, I'm going to undo it. Oops. It's a tricky part here because I don't want to damage the wire. And try and bring it back up so that it's not bring it through, and then almost tucking it in between those wires, in between the not the wires but the two folds of that guitar string here, so that it doesn't catch. And so you can see here it's nice and smooth, and we've got ourselves a beautiful guitar string ring. And so got this one here, and then ta-da, beautiful. What do you think? Beautiful guitar string ring. And then the ball end here sits almost like a little diamond on the top. There you go. Lovely.